Hey guys, this is Alex over at Boost Controlled Performance, and I wanted to give everybody a walkthrough on just the basics of using an Accessport on a GTR. This has the potential to do pretty much everything that we need to tune a car that even makes, 1,300 plus horsepower. So the more that we know about this, the more that you know about this, the smoother everything will be once you get your car back. The basics that I did want to go over are just flashing a map and being able to view the gauges on here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the custom map features, how to switch maps, how to do things like that, rolling boost, launch control. When you plug your Accessport in, you get this main screen here. There's a few different options, but since we're already on gauges, I'm just going to show you guys how to view ethanol content. We're going to go over, you can choose up to 6 gauges. We'll just choose one for the video. And we're going to highlight the frame that we're on. I accidentally started logging there. And we're going to go ahead and just change the monitor. You get a good shot of this right now. And then we've got our ethanol content pulled up. 64% right now. So almost at full capacity. So the other things that we can do with this, especially if it has transmission flashing, is, well, obviously we can read the codes, which is pretty obvious, but we can service the TCM, which is the transmission control module. We can do a clutch gear learn, and we can adjust the touch points. Now, the most important one here, I would say, is the touch point adjustments. The clutch torque capacities affect how much pressure we send to the clutches. And if we instruct you, especially on an e-tuned car, or maybe you're going to the track, if we instruct you to increase these values, just go ahead and increase them. If otherwise, we usually recommend leaving them in the place that we leave them in on your car, depending on the modifications. This car is at 2 and 2. It starts at 0. You can go all the way up to 6. So I'm just going to lock those in. The touch point is pretty much how much the car wants to move when you let your foot off the brake. We'll customize that depending on the transmission setup, but we'll just leave those at 0 for right now. If we need you to adjust the tune on your car, change the map, we're just going to go over to tune, and you can either change the ECU or the TCM map. We offer both TCM and ECU tuning for the GTR. Most of you will be adjusting the ECU map though. Once the trans map is set, pretty much leave it alone. Once it loads the files, that's when we can choose which one we want to upload, and then we can proceed by flashing it to the vehicle, just working it through the settings of, are you ready to flash it, turn the key off, those kind of things. So those are some of the basics of how to use the Accessport here. And if anyone has any further questions, we'd be happy to answer them in the comment section. Let's take the car for a ride and look at some of the driving features. So let's talk about how to change your switchable map. Now, we have the ability to have up to 8 different maps in your car at any given time. Those can be changes of boost, ignition timing, launch control settings, rev limiters, so we can really customize those for your needs. Most bolt-on cars, it's simply just going to adjust the boost, which in turn changes the power that the vehicle makes. So when we're ready to switch maps, we want to look over here and make sure that we have our boost gauge pulled up. It can be the big boost gauge, it can be a smaller one, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to hijack that temporarily. If you keep the camera pointed right here, you'll see how you're catching a little bit of the switching action here. So the way that I'm doing that is I'm pressing cancel to put it into hijack mode. I don't have to hold the button, I just have to press it, and it will hijack the gauge for 5 seconds. I use the Excel button on the cruise switch, or I use the Coast button on the cruise switch to go up and down between the maps. And as you can see, the maps are changing, starting at 0, 1, oops, we dropped out of the menu there. We have 0, 1, 2, and 3 on this car. 3 is the maximum setting, it won't go any higher. You can do that while driving. Anytime the car is running, you can do it on the fly. It's a super easy way to change your maps. If you're going to be racing somebody, maybe you get edged out a little bit, maybe you need just a little bit more power and you have that in your car, just go ahead and turn it up with the flick of your button. So another feature when the car is moving is rolling launch, and rolling launch is going to give us the ability to build boost from a roll. It holds the car still, which is perfect for roll racing, and when you let go of the activate button, it allows the car to take off at full power. So we're going to put it in a second gear. That's a common gear people use for rolling launch, and most tunes I set up for at least 3,000 RPM so that it doesn't overstress the engine. What we're going to do is we're going to hold down on the coast set button, we're going to floor it, and once the boost builds, we're going to let go of the button and take off. As you can see, it pretty much gave us instantaneous power. We just get a closer shot of the button so I can just show that a little bit better. Once we get to the RPM that we want to be at, we're going to just hold down and floor it simultaneously and let go. Come on, man. So the other feature that we have on the GTR is using launch control, and they do have it from the factory, but what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the VDC off version of launch control. So we're just going to pull off to the side here a little bit so that we can go over that. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that traction control is off, and we're going to go ahead and turn our suspension and our transmission into R mode. So once these settings are armed this way, we're able to launch the car with VDC off. So when you're ready to launch the car, it's pretty simple, and just for sake of the car's safety and not working it too hard, we're just going to turn it down to the low boost map. But we're going to floor the brake pedal, and we're going to floor the gas. The RPM is going to come up, and then we're going to take off. So as you can see, it brought the RPM up to what we think this car needs as a launch RPM for this power wheel and tire combo. And we can make adjustments for you as well. If you're finding that launching the car with the settings that are in your car isn't working, shoot us an email, shoot us a phone call. We can help the car perform better, whether you're racing it at the track or racing it from a roll. We can make those adjustments. As a rule of thumb, if you're adjusting the RPM on your own with your Accessport, we typically recommend lowering the RPM a little bit for your first launch, and then adding in RPM as you feel the car has enough traction to make a harder launch. Also wanted to add that this car does have traction control enabled in the tune, which is a tuner adjustable parameter that we tweak based on the amount of power the car is making, the tires that are on it, and the type of driving that you're doing, which can be extremely effective, especially at lower speeds. If you guys have any more questions about what you saw in the video, feel free to leave them in the comments. And of course, if you're interested in a GTR Pro Tune, you can come see us in person if you're in Michigan, or you can always go to our website, boostcontrolledperformance.com. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for watching.